If someone is trying to spin that, you will be able to tell right away. Brian Lilly says the Liberals could do this, meaning that's possible. And then if the person that is actually presenting you that information is saying Trudeau plans to do this, I'm sorry, they have a nefarious motive there. What we're going to do now is we are going to give you a crash course. It's not going to be very long. In how we evaluate our sources before we actually consider them in our videos. This goes for even things that we're looking up to complement things like question period or interviews and things like that. But especially that goes into our exposés like the Century Initiative, like Arrive Scam, SDTC, that sort of thing. So without further ado, I just want to make sure that this is going to be showing the right picture for what we're going to be showing here. And it looks like it's going to. So here we go.
So the SIFT method, this is how we evaluate what sources we're going to be putting into our videos. This is how we evaluate whether something may or may not be true. Basically, the SIFT method is a simple process used to evaluate online information and combat misinformation and disinformation. It was developed by a gentleman named Mike Caulfield, who's an American digital literacy expert, and he's known for his work in combating misinformation and teaching fact-checking strategies. He developed this not only for people like us who are creating content and putting it out there into the general world, he also created it for everyday people to evaluate whether or not what they're looking at online is actually true or not. So it's an acronym. The S stands for stop. Before you do anything with this post, like if you come across a video or maybe it's a post on X or something, before you do anything with that, just stop for a second. What is this item saying? Where's it coming from? Do I know what the source is? Is it credible? Try to avoid reacting emotionally, because when we are emotional, the logic side of our brains just kind of goes to the wayside.
It shuts off.
Yeah, we don't do things that maybe we would, or we do things that maybe we would not normally do if we were not that emotional in that moment. So just stop for a second and really evaluate, okay, how is this making me feel? Is this possibly true? Where did this come from? The I stands for investigate. So investigate the source. Who's behind this information? Who put this information out there? Do I believe that person? Do I think they're credible? Is this an opinion or is this a fact? A fact is something that you can prove over and over and over again. An opinion is something that it's not a fact. You can't prove it. So for example, if I said to the chat, what do you guys think is the best color? I'd get like 100 different answers because there is no truth to it. It's just an opinion. Maybe my favorite color is blue. Maybe Ryan's is green. Like it varies based on the person. It varies based on the situation. It's not the same over and over and over again. Whereas a fact is, you can prove a fact and you can prove it repeatedly.
And the thing you want to be careful of is, do I trust this person because they're telling me what I want to hear?
Yeah, is their opinion the same as mine and that's why I am giving them my trust? Or is their opinion based on fact? Right. Is their opinion true?
And it's tough. It's tough when you either you're getting a piece of information from someone that you've trusted before and it doesn't align to what you want to be true. A lot of people, and especially online, a lot of people have a tendency, and everyone is subject to this, Tanya and I included. A lot of people want to just say, well, I don't believe that, or I'm going to discard that because it doesn't align to what my beliefs are. It doesn't align to what I want to happen. Or the flip side is that they are saying something that you do want to be true, but you're thinking, well, it might not be. And then you have a tendency to essentially repress the skepticism that you actually have and just consider that as truth. So it is tough, but you have to force yourself to compartmentalize it and just say, okay, is this feeding the echo chamber in my mind, or is this a fact?
So what you can do to figure out if it's an opinion or a fact or who's behind the information, you can search for the author, the writer, the publicist. You can check what their reputation is. If you go online and you search, Tanya from Northern Perspective, and it's all, well, she's a liar and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Well, then you might not want to trust it, right? Another thing that you can do is you can use websites like Snopes.com to see whether or not it is like an urban legend, if it's been disproven. And you can also look for an About Us page or fact-checking reports on their website. The F stands for find better coverage. So don't rely on just one source. Check multiple sources for this information. And this is especially important in politics. When we are researching for a video, we will search, Globe and Mail, and then we'll go to CTV, and then maybe CBC, and then the National Post. Like, we look at all of them to see what they're all saying.
And then even government sources if we can.
Yeah, exactly. Or we'll go straight to the source. For example, the Hogue Report. I don't care what CBC or CTV, whoever is saying about the Hogue Report. I'm going to go directly to the Hogue Report myself. So again, you can determine if the news is kind of like the same across multiple verified sources, use fact-checking websites and compare different perspectives. One of the reasons why we use mainstream media as a source is because these guys get sued if they get it wrong. So we are more apt to believe them over random things that we're finding on X.
Well, but also they have people that work for them that all they do is find sources and find leads and things like that, right? So so if there's something that's sensational that's coming out of mainstream media, we are less likely to just accept it, at face value, and we'll try and verify that. But one of the things that was really important when the CSIS whistleblowers actually put out their information, and this is where we're talking about using multiple sources, they verified the information that was being given to them by the CSIS whistleblower with multiple people. So if it was just one CSIS whistleblower, they wouldn't have published the story.
Right.
But they were able to verify that with a couple of different people, and a couple of different people reached out to a couple of different agencies as well. So so it wasn't just that. So it's so important to be able to corroborate what you're seeing. This is why we don't sit here and show videos of just X posts the whole time, because that's basically just showing everybody window dressing in a dumpster. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's really important also to understand the bias of the media that you're consuming. Obviously, Northern Perspective has a slight right-leaning bias. We don't try to hide that. The CBC has a profound left-leaning bias because they're being funded by the government. So when you're reading something from CBC, you're going to understand that it's probably going to be more favorable to the Liberals than it would be to the Conservatives. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true, but what's being written about in an article, for example, maybe they are trying to make the Liberals look a little bit better, and maybe the Conservatives look a little bit worse than if they were, say, a right-leaning article. So,
and this is why whenever we're typically using footage from mainstream media, it's not them talking about specific facts. It's them speaking with politicians, asking opinions. And so what we're mainly showing is the interaction, what the politician is saying, not the fact itself. So that's where we actually use a lot of the mainstream media footage, and we do our own digging and verifying for the facts in the background.
And finally, the T stands for trace claims, quotes, and media back to the original article. So where did this information come from originally? Ways you can figure that out is you can try to use Google to search for articles or reports. You can use the House of Commons website, rcommons.ca. You can use Parle View or Send View to actually watch the footage for yourself. These are all things that we do when we see a claim being made either in the media or on X. We will actually go to find the original parliamentary footage, the original parliamentary report, anything so that we can get our own eyes on the original documents. We always say that X or Facebook or even YouTube is more of a starting point, and we really have to dig from there and find out where exactly did this information come from.
Yeah, and it's tough, folks, because this sounds like a lot of work, but it is tough. And the problem is social media is flooded with garbage. Like 90% of the posts that you will see online that are claiming to show facts are garbage, like complete garbage. This is why the only time we may show a Twitter post, or an X post rather, is
if it's direct from the politician.
Well, and it's just them saying something.
Yeah.
Or like, because we're not interested in
Bob's opinion about XYZ. I want to know where he got XYZ.
Yeah, or he's saying, oh, this is happening, everybody. Well, who are you, and where's your source? Oh, you didn't put it in your post. Isn't that convenient? I don't believe it. So this is the thing, and remember, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and if people aren't putting evidence in there, then I'm shutting it off, and I'm not believing. So this video that not everybody, that people are bringing to our attention about Canada not being a sovereign nation, the fact that A, it's an AI voiceover, and B, in the video, it tells you to go and verify this guy's facts for him.
Well, and C, I've got a book on our bookshelf that disproves absolutely all of it. So
all of that should be raising alarm bells, because if they're saying, oh, well, I've done my homework for this, do your own research. Sorry, that's BS. Because
show me where you found this homework. And again, that's what we tell our audience, is that you can check our facts in the source and we will provide them to you. We will show you what we were looking at to create this video, and you can determine for yourself whether or not you agree with us, whether you believe us.
And look at clips that people are using, because the Brian Lilly one is a perfect example. Perfect example. And if someone is trying to spin that, you will be able to tell right away. Brian Lilly says the Liberals could do this, meaning that's possible. And then if the person that is actually presenting you that information is saying Trudeau plans to do this, I'm sorry, they have a nefarious motive there. They are deliberately trying to spin this to rile you up and fearmonger. And that's the last thing that we need right now. The last thing we need going into a general election is a bunch of people that aren't thinking straight.
Right, because, we want to fight for our democracy. We need a clear head to do that. So just, again, be careful what you're consuming online. Use the SIFT method. That's stop, investigate, find, and trace. And we are either going to clip this out and make it its own little video, or we're going to put up a image tomorrow on the community, just so you guys have a reminder of what is the SIFT method and what can I do to verify the information that I'm coming across online.
So if people are throwing extraordinary things at you, demand extraordinary evidence, demand credible people are actually speaking on it, and demand the source directly to what these people are claiming is actually going to happen. And in a lot of cases, through all this fear-mongering and scare tactics just to get you to click on their stuff, it's a bunch of crap. So that's going to continue to happen, folks. It's going to escalate. Just try and recognize, okay, so this is really sensationalist. I'm expecting this to happen. Now I need to pause. That's the stop. And go through the method. Verify. Try and trace back to the source and see if it's true. Now, just because there is no evidence doesn't mean something is not true, but it doesn't prove that it is.